guys, this is Lavetta.
This is Miriam.
And this is also Notorious Women Podcast, a comedy podcast about some of history's most notorious women.
That's right. Hi, Lavetta.
Hey, Miriam. How you doing, my friend?
You know what? I don't have COVID anymore, so I'm good.
Well, you look good. You always look good, but you look back to your old self. You look healthy.
Yeah. I feel like I'm back to normal. Like I feel completely back to normal, which is really good.
Well, apparently there's another strain, so that's probably why you got sick. Because I'm sure you're boosted, so
I'm all the things. If there was a shot, I got it. You know, like
yes. But there's another strain going around. Yeah. That's probably why you got it. So, but you know, I'm glad you guys are better. You and the family. That's the thing. When you live with other people, you're gonna give it to them.
Listen, I tried. I lived in my tower. I was a princess in the tower, and I got all my food delivered to me. It was really, I wasn't mad about it.
You sound like a lot of married people who have children. They're like, I actually got rest.
Like, I took naps when I felt like it because it was the right thing to do, right? Yes. Rest so you can heal. Okay.
What'd you watch? Did you catch up on your shows?
Oh my God. Did you watch The Bear?
No, I know you like that show.
Listen, I finished the whole thing.
This is the thing. I'm a weirdo, as you all know.
Yes.
I know I'm a weirdo. There's something about food and people yelling that gives me anxiety. Like, that's why when I watch, was it Gordon Ramsay and he's yelling, or they're like, chefs are so demanding. I'm like, why are they yelling over the food? I don't need you to be yelling and spitting all over my food.
Well, having worked in restaurants a lot, it's very satisfying to know that I'm not alone. And that what I saw, yes, it's real. That's really what's happening. It's kind of like it justifies a part of my life in a way, but also I love food so much, and so I love watching the journey to get to new, I don't know, it's lame,
but it's food. It shouldn't be accompanied with yelling and drama. It's food.
Food is drama. You've never had to feed small children. Food is drama, girl.
No, okay. But food is drama. But I watch this because, again, I'm a weirdo, and I've always been an 80-year-old woman, British woman. I watched this.
Yes, you are an 80-year-old British woman, and that's why we're friends.
Because of course I know. Of course I have BritBox.
Of course you do.
Subscription, of course. Mm-hmm. And there's this thing about the Ritz Hotel. I didn't know the Ritz was a British hotel originally. I didn't know that.
I didn't either, but that seems right. Yeah, that seems right. Yeah.
And it's about this tradition and then they were talking to the chef, and he seemed really kind of cool and calm. And I'm like, see, that's the kind of chef I want cooking my Christmas goose in the kitchen when I visit the Ritz.
Oh my God. So, I love that we're both obsessed with a country that was really into colonialism. You know,
the biggest British import other than colonialism is their murder mysteries, their culture.
Yes. I mean, right? Colonialism aside, my God, I love them.
Oh, no, this is why I know when they're like, oh, you're Americans so racist. I'm like, you guys taught us how to be racist. Okay.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. That whole Meghan Markle thing didn't surprise me. Okay. No. Simmer down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice try, though. Nice try. That's cute. That's really cute.
Because they have that accent. It fools you because you think, oh, they're civilized. No, civilized.
Yeah.
Some colonialism. Somebody posted on Twitter the other day because, the original title, I think it was the original title of 10 Little Indians, and then there were none, was 10 Little N-words.
No. Okay. You know what? I keep being surprised by things I should not be surprised by.
Racism in the UK. Yes, buddies. And so it was changed to 10 Little Indians, and then eventually it was changed to, and then there were none. Yeah.
I love how they
So
went from racism to racism. I mean,
yeah. Somebody was like, WTF? I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, there's things we all love that are problematic, right? Like there's things that you're just like,
listen, we
stuff
listened to
does not age well.
Song of the South. It's
Well,
bad.
I don't know. I just like that fucking Gone with the Wind. I'm not a Gone with the Wind. I just, again, Carol Burnett's version with
Is
the
the
curtains.
best. No.
That's the version. That's the true
Yeah.
version in my head.
That's the real version. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
I never go hungry again. Also, Scarlett O'Hara was played by a British woman.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
D, so
Fiddly girl,
yeah.
you're a little queen. What are you doing?
I will say though, growing up in the South, and we're all we all are what's the word where they're always afraid that woke people are going to do to kids? What are they when you indoctrinate kids, right? And so there's some stuff I've gotten when I became an adult. I was like, that was fucking racist. But as a kid, I loved, right, some of the cartoons. But also, there was a made for TV series called North and South. And
I remember Swayze. North and South. Patrick Swayze. Oh, damn, I love Patrick Swayze. Oh.
He played the Southerner. And we're rooting for Ore, the Southerner.
My God. Why are we loving him right now?
I was just like, it hit me recently. I was like, I think Patrick Swayze was from the South because I remember the guy from the North, the Yankee, was portrayed as like a bad guy. His name was George, I think. And he'd be like, he was like, my military ability or something. I don't know. I used to like quote it as a little kid, my military ability, because I love a bad Southern accent. But, like stuff like that. Or like now I watch like, I've been saying a lot with my grandparents and they watch like Gunsmoke, like those old timey TV shows. And I'm like, this is suddenly white supremacist. It's like Little House on the Prairie. Like, it's all very like, look at these good, clean white folk.
Listen, I remember. The subtext. So when I was, 100%. When I was in, we should get started, but I got to say this. When I was in grade school, I went to a Jewish day school. And so we watched, there's one episode of Little House on the Prairie that does discuss anti-Semitism, and we watched it as kids because I remember this episode because I watched it on and off, but I loved the books. The series was fine, but I loved the books, so I was excited to watch it. And it was, they attempted, this was their woke episode, to like that's as far as they went, is to address anti-Semitism at the time and then tell all the little boys and girls watching the show that anti-Semitism is bad. And it was like, they're like, oh, Jews, they have horns on their heads. And they're like, it turns out Jews don't have horns on their heads. And that was like the lesson.
Oh, where did that stereotype come from? The horns and stuff. I've never heard that before.
That was when I learned it. I was like fourth grade.
That's when you learned it? You taught me so much about like that. Because like I said, most Black people are like, oh, Jewish people. And I know you're like, it's not the same. It's not the same because anti-Semitism is a real thing. People have said anti-Semitic stuff with me, I guess, thinking that I'm also anti-Semitic because I'm not Jewish. But I'm like, Jewish people are white. If you don't like them, I know you don't like my black ass. Like,
it's
I'm always suspicious.
People try to be racist to me, and I'm like, no.
And also it's the stereotypes. I'm like, but all white people are like that. like it's like that old joke that Chris Rock has. It's like Black people don't have time to be separating white people into categories.
I mean, it's
Black people don't hate Jewish people. Black people hate white people. White people. That's what he says. Anyway, it's true. We're like Italian, white. Like we're like I don't know what I think it's a regional thing in the country. I think maybe like more anti-Semitic Black people are in like the Northeast where like Black and Jewish relations are like more contentious.
A little contentious. Yeah. I don't
because
think
honestly,
like
the majority of Black people, they don't know they can't point out a white person and be like, that person's Jewish. They don't know. They really really don't know. That's why the backlash that Jamie Foxx got was so weird, because black people are like white people and non-white people. like we don't understand. Like some of them have accents, some of them don't.
I mean, that's the thing that, like, I think there's a fascination. Honestly, I do. Like, my friend's grandma, when I was in high school, she's black, and she was like, "Are you a race?" And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, because a lot of black people have a hard time grasping that. Like, even in the religious ones or what have you, like, it doesn't, because again, it's like Jewish people in the Bible, I think, are like different than, like, I think people don't make that connection.
Because there's black Jews, like, there's Asian Jews, like, it's a religion, and it's a people, but but also it's all a fucking construct. It's all a construct.
It's all a construct. Because also when I learned about the Holocaust, I was so confused, Miriam. I was just like, first of all, I was horrified, of course.
That's a correct
that people
reaction.
would like I was so upset. I was very young, but I was so upset and I was horrified. But I also was very confused. I'm like, but they killing other white people. This is what white on white crime.
White on white crime
from history. Because I was just like, how can they tell that they're not the same kind of white? I was so confused.
Mm-hmm.
And because, you know why? Because bigotry is stupid and it makes no sense, and it's all a construct.
It makes no sense. I think that's why, like, my friend's grandma was like, I don't understand, because she grew up in a world where we were boxing everybody, and it was like, why are these white people different? Like,
we're just like, ain't they white? Like, I mean, we know spicy white. We know some Italians are spicy white. Like,
I've never heard you say that, but I love it so much.
Spicy white. Yes. Like, but even with Italians, I think what we think of Italians, and I have a lot of Italian American friends who are in the business, and they hate the whole stereotype of the mob and and I get it. Like, but you don't even realize, if you're not Italian American, like, people automatically assume that you are connected, or you're in the mob, or you're a thug, or whatever. It's like,
when I brought my Italian boyfriend home, named Salvatore, my friends.
That is so true.
And I actually have a bunch of high school guy friends who are like, who is this Italian man got their hooks into Miriam? Like, what is, and then they met him and they're like, he's really nice. It's like,
and Sal is like, again, the stereotype we have in our head in America of Italian Americans, Sal is so far from
He's so far away. He's the nicest person, like, in the world. Which makes me feel bad, because, like, I cannot be that nice. Nope.
That's why he loves you. He needs a spicy white wife.
I was just gonna say, I bring the spice.
I guess we should get started. This is so fascinating. I think you are first this week, my dear. So
it's me.
All right. You. So who's your notorious woman this week for us?
Okay. My notorious woman this week, I'm so excited to talk about her. Her name, is Katie Sandwina. Does she sound familiar?
Katie Sandwina. No, it sounds like sandwich. Makes me hungry.
Yes, sounds delicious, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so she was born Katharina Brumbach, but also called Katie. She was born May 6th, 1884. In Vienna, Austria. And she was born in the back of a circus wagon.
Oh, she's circus folk?
She's circus folk.
Oh, okay. Sandwini, is it? Oh, okay. I'll wait till you tell me. Okay.
Unlike what I did last week. So I just want to say I got stuff from Wikipedia and something called atlasobscura.com. I got a lot of information from that. Other things too, but those were the main ones. Okay, so her parents were Philippe and Joanna Brumbach. She was one of 14 children.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they were both of her parents were circus performers. Her father was 6'6" and a strong man.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know. So Katie became a strong woman.
No.
Yes.
Can you imagine
And
having a dad who's a strong man? Like, he's so big.
I know, right? 6'6". I thought my dad was
Wow.
huge, and he was like 6 feet tall.
Oh.
Um, so at when she was 2 years old, they started because they ran the circus and they toured Europe.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and just like I think as a family, they probably had other people too. And then before she entered her teens, she became an integral part of their act. So she was doing cute little strong woman things at 2.
Oh my God, that's
And
so
then
adorable.
I
I would
know,
pay
right?
money. I would pay money
So,
to see that.
and
Absolutely.
that's what Europe said, and that's how they made their money.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
I know, right? So, in her early teens, her father would offer 100 marks to any man in the audience who could defeat her in wrestling, and nobody ever won. She won every time.
Oh my word.
I know. Okay, so during one of the performances, this is a very cute story. She met the man who was going to become her husband, Max Heyman. Okay. She was 16 years old, and Max was an aspiring acrobat. So he figured if he trounced her on stage, like he would advertise his skills, and this was like a great marketing tool for himself. So he went up there, and she soundly defeated him.
I
And
love it.
according to lore, like she defeats him, and he looks up from his vantage point from the ground, and then fell in love. Like looked up, and
Oh,
I
that's
and
my
I
kind of guy.
I think he was
Yeah.
like, "Marry me." And they stayed married for like 42 years.
Oh.
I know, right?
Oh.
So, because they get married, he starts touring with them, and she incorporated him into her act. So he's 5'6". Okay, so smaller than her. I'll give you her numbers in a moment. But she would hoist him over her head with one hand, and she played one of the acts was where she would play the role of a soldier as though she was going through like a rifle drill, and like he was the rifle.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God. He's like, I want to be dominated by this woman.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is like early like BDSM, okay?
Yeah, totally. Totally.
But like get it. Like get it. Yes. Live your
Hey,
best
two
life.
consenting adults. That's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about.
Listen, 42 years. They were very happy.
Oh.
So around the early 1900s, she and her husband branched off from the family circus, and they came to the United States.
Oh, okay.
So while she was in New York in 1902, she crossed paths with Eugene Sandow. So he was the leading strongman of the era. He was very, very famous. It's so interesting to hear about people very famous now
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we don't even know them. And at the time, they were huge.
Yeah.
Um, so they decided to face off against each other in a public weightlifting showdown. So they were both lifting heavier and heavier weights until she bested him by raising 300 pounds above her head with one hand. Now, all the stuff was written
No.
down. There might be some exaggeration, and I'll
I
get to
don't
that.
buy that.
But that's what I read. And so I'll share that I read that. But what I do know happened is that he was only managed to raise the weight to his chest. So what we know happened is she did beat him. She won.
Wow.
And that's when she changed her name from Broombach to Sandwina. Sandow, Sandwina.
Oh, gotcha.
You see what she did there? Yeah.
Yes.
So there's this is a quote. So an unsigned 1946 article in Strength and Health, so this is like 40 years later, credits her with a 264-pound continental jerk, a right-hand continental jerk of 176 pounds, and a press in excess of 200 pounds on numerous occasions. Now, I just want to throw out there that I don't exactly know what I just said, but I feel like if you're super into weightlifting, you know exactly what I just said. But I know that those are heavy weights, and she's really strong.
Yeah.
That's what I
Anything
know.
over 10 pounds each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You could do 15, girl. You just gotta build up. It's
I gotta work my way up to
yeah.
15. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Get 12.5.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Um, I mean, I do Pilates a lot. So she also her act apparently included lifting a 600-pound cannon, bending iron bars, and breaking iron chains.
How
She,
how
I
how mu-
literally like
wow.
don't know. I don't
Wow.
know. She would also like use her husband as like a weight, and also her first baby, because she had two babies with him, at 2 years old weighed 50 pounds. And so she'd lift the baby and the husband up like with one hand together. Like, now for
What are they
context,
feeding these? Okay. Wow.
okay,
That's definitely
for
genetics. Like it has to be.
that is so 100% genetics. I
Yeah.
my kids, let's see, my kids are like in the 50th percentile, maybe 75th percentile, totally normal kids. Hit 50 pounds at like 8 years old,
Okay.
maybe seven.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
were like 18 pounds when they were two.
Wow.
Um, so what's interesting with her is that she always maintained her sense of femininity. Now, this could also be part of their selling of her,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
1911, she joined the circus, the Barnum and Bailey circus.
Oh.
And they sort of sold her as like the strongest and most beautiful woman in the world.
Okay.
Um, and that, so some of what I'm saying, I don't know how deeply held these feelings were to her. Because they would talk about how she felt there was no contradiction between her love of painting her nails and her ability to deflect sledgehammer blows to the chest. Um, so who knows? But she like they really pushed her beauty, and she was, I mean, she was beautiful. She
Wow. I mean, I
they
guess it's like I think older like back in the day they were more in tune with like, the idea of like the Amazons and the Greek goddesses. So she's almost like an Amazon in the flesh, you
I
know.
mean, that's basically what it was. There was an article in 1911 in the New York American, and here's a quote. The beauty of her features is positively startling. With her curled upper lip and her classic chin, she has the look of some heroic work in marble. Her throat is a column. Her shoulders and back might have been hewn by Michelangelo.
Mm.
Um, okay, that's fine. But you can tell also that they couldn't just sell her as someone who is miraculously strong.
Yeah, and
Um,
I would imagine that before prior to like cuz PT Barnum was like
what was
problematic
he
but
a
also
super
like
nice
the
guy?
king of but the king of like he's like, the king of spin. Right. So
Listen,
like I bet you she was very, very strong and tall and beautiful and muscular. Before
yeah,
that, probably the women were kind of just sold as like freaks, like just strong and like
yeah.
ugly and da da da. Right. So this is a different spin, but I also guarantee that they probably padded the amount of weight that she was
Well,
picking up,
it's
probably.
I mean, yeah, like that was part of the set. Listen, I'm obsessed with
Yeah.
the musical Barnum, like obsessed with it. Like I can sing There is a Sucker Born every minute, I can sing every word. But I won't right now, and you're all very welcome.
Yeah. Let's focus.
Stay on track, Miriam. But it's all about being a king of spin, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Um,
still. I mean, this is not to take away from her, extraordinary gift of
oh yeah,
performing and things like that. But I do think it's interesting. That's probably something that they hadn't seen before. A strong woman who was also very feminine and beautiful, and they probably had her done up in curls, and
yeah. And she
so
also, what I loved about her too is that she had her family stayed with her. They were together, that she was able to combine everything, and she just lived her truest life. And from what I can gather, she stayed with the circus for many, many years. So I think she was very happy there.
Yeah. I mean, you're also with your family doing something you love. And I would
Right.
say, honestly, if I was a little girl and I saw her, I
Oh
probably would
yeah.
fall in love. I'd be like, oh my God, she's the most beautiful. She's strong. She's tall. She can pick up a man. I
I
would
mean,
be
I
like
love
obsessed with
that.
her.
Yeah.
Yes.
But let's talk about, it's one of my favorite subjects. I think it's one of your favorite subjects too. It was very popular in the early 1900s in Western civilization, was eugenics.
Oh,
So
Lord.
fun.
Here we go.
I know. She keeps popping up. Like, what's happening? So, around this time, eugenics was so, so popular. And that was partly how she was sold. So, with Sandow as well, he had been measured as the perfect male specimen. Like, they were like, yes, be white and strong like him. And so they were like, hey, let's do this for a woman. And
Mm.
so they publicly measured her and had 10 physicians coming in from all over the country just to publicly examine her physique. What?
Oh, okay.
And I'll say her stats, because she's tall. She was 5'9.75" tall. She weighed 210 pounds. And then I'm not going to do her chest and her waist and all that because it's stupid. But yeah, she was very strong. She was very big. But like, and they then concluded, quote, in every way, according to her measurements, she is a perfect woman by all the accepted standards. Now,
Yeah.
this is
Also, five
yeah,
nine and a
yeah.
half is tall, but it's not like
It's not
six
a
foot
giant. Yeah.
two, like,
No.
like the woman who played Cleopatra Jones. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. Oh my God, you will love
No.
that movie. She
Oh,
was
okay.
like Tamara Dobson was, I think she was 6 or 6'1", six
Okay.
foot one,
Yeah,
and
you
she
can be
played.
taller.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
like that to me, that's like, oh, over 6 footer, usually, especially for a woman, is like, that's considered like an Amazon to me. But this is also early 1900s. 5'9" must have seemed like a giant. And then she's
Yeah.
muscular as well,
And
because
she's
200 and
muscular.
something pounds of muscle. I bet that was a sight to see. But it's just that they can't even be satisfied with that. It's like, this proves that the white people are
Yeah.
superior.
Which is like, I know, like, I'm 5 feet tall. I would be like, I will never be perfect. Like,
Right, 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 right.
like the whole idea of like perfect. Wow. Like that was part of how she rose to fame. But she herself, um, was she had the job there and she did that, but she also was an outspoken proponent for women's right to vote. um in 1912, she became the vice president of the 800-member suffragette ladies of the Barnum and Bailey Circus. She was sometimes
Oh,
referred to as Sandwina the suffragette. um
oh.
and okay, I read this in an article, and I'm going to share because I like it. She defied gender conventions of her era by speaking candidly about her sexual appetites.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I
Here
mean,
we go.
she got married young, so I just don't know how true this is. But this is this is what I read. Ready?
Hmm.
So, reporter says, "A very discreet question, my dear madam. Are you married?" She says, "No, I'm not married. I'm single, but nobody dares to end this situation." Reporter, "Are you interested in men anyway?" Oh, there she is. And she says, "What shall I say? Men are like air to me. You can't live without them. Every now and then I breathe good fresh air, you know?" I mean, I think that's
I
hilarious.
like her. She's tongue
Mhm.
in cheek.
But I love that because she's strong. Maybe she's a lesbian. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Like it's, that's also like the heavy emphasis on, you know, like feminizing her even more so, and like,
Right.
and it's interesting. I will say, like, context wise, like a Black woman, similarly, like, uh, in stature and figure, would be um,
Mas
masculinized.
is that the
Mask.
word?
I, I,
Mas masculinized? I
I
think we
think
might have
so.
made that word up, but I think that was
Hey,
correct, and the English language is welcome.
yeah, and we're like
Yeah.
rappers. We make up stuff. Conversate is not a word,
Listen,
people. It's converse. But
it
anyway,
is now.
so
Lavetta's like Twitch.
I love it. But like it, so
Yeah,
there's that the
absolutely.
racial part of it, but also even as a white woman, there's that pressure because again, like you said with the reporter, there's that that subtext of like, are you a lesbian? So she has to be like, oh
Mhm.
no, I love men and and like also especially later on when she's like lifting her actual husband.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, yeah. So, but it's just really, but also these are circus folk too. Like it's all about like the act, right? Like so you got to
Right.
push it
Even
too.
that
So
conversation
yeah,
was an
yeah.
act to, sell tickets to the show.
I will say
Um,
though, anyone with a sense
yeah.
of humor that's got a little tongue in cheek about him, especially when it comes to sex, I'm all for them. Like
You
I
know
love
what?
her. I
And
like
she like
this.
fought for women's right to vote. Let's love her so much.
Yeah, but also, of
Great.
course, she did because she's like, I can beat most men. So,
Oh,
yeah,
but yeah, and you know my opinion on the government? No, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yes. She had two kids. Theodore was born in 1909. He was the 50-pound 2-year-old. And he would grow up to be a heavyweight boxer, which feels right.
Yeah.
And then Alfred was born in 1918, which as a parent, like, damn, 9 years later, you gave birth again. Like you had a 9-year-old and you were like, no, let's start from the beginning. Let's have an
Oh,
infant.
yeah.
Whew. And he grew up to be an actor.
Oh, okay.
But they both joined the act when they were born. I think he became an actor of somewhat note, although he's a
Oh,
man. I did not go into detail. Um, and they do know that she was very strong. Now, strength historians agree that she was the real deal. Now, in terms of those stats that I gave you before, like again, they were it's a circus. They're telling everybody all the things they need to say, to get the
yeah. And
people in the
like,
seats.
exactly. She probably, I mean, women are like what competitive weightlifters now. Like, you see people like, I don't know, like, I mean, these women are amazing. All of the weightlifters, I'm like, again, 15 pounds max. I have to build
I
up to
know,
15
like,
pounds for each arm. So, but yeah, but again, it's also about like, it's like, I wouldn't be surprised knowing PT Barnum the way we do that if it's a little
right.
exaggeration, but of course she was strong. Of course she was
Yeah,
stronger than the
exactly.
average person, man or woman, or non-binary folks because they always existed.
They always
Um,
existed.
so it's but I bet it was a sight to behold. I bet it like was just so like impressive. I bet it wowed like audiences. I'd be like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
So
no, for sure. And she was nearly 60 when she retired. So she was there for like decades.
I love
Isn't that
that.
awesome? Okay. And when she retired, this is great. Okay. She opened a restaurant with her husband in Ridgewood, New York, which is like, Queens, Brooklyn area. Um, and so there were large billboards mounted outside the business, which declared the owner as, quote, the strongest woman in the world. And in the so they would have I think her husband cooked, her son bartended, and she was like the host. And so upon request, she would bend iron bars and break heavy chains and entertain the patrons. Like she never stopped, really.
Oh, I love that.
And apparently at 64, she was cautioned by police because she forcibly ejected a bruiser from the premises.
Yeah.
Because she could.
Because there's some
Um,
dudes like, I could take her, man. I could take her.
Yep. And she's
Douchebags.
like,
Yeah.
you literally can't.
No.
Um, I know that because you were in this room and now you're not in this room. And that's because I threw you out of this room and now you're sad. That's how I
Yeah.
know. And then she died of cancer in 1952. She was 67.
Oh,
Too young. Way
yeah,
too
that's too
young.
young. Wow, though, but yeah, that's way too young. But it sounds like she, I mean, did something she loved, because it would suck
Yes.
to be that height and that strong and not enjoy doing that.
And
That would
right.
suck.
And like going to work retail every day, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Or your family forcing you, and you're just like, I'm not a freak. I just want to like,
I
I
just
don't know, put on an apron and like sew or do needlework or something. Like,
right. Like
I don't
no.
know, but I just love
But she loved it.
that. Yeah. Oh wow. Katie Sandwina.
Sandwina.
Sandwina. Ah,
Yes.
they probably put the "ah" in there because she's a lady.
Cause
She's a
she's a
lady.
girl.
Yeah.
Feminize it.
Oh my God, I love her. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're very
Love, love,
welcome.
love her. So I guess it's
Now
my turn, huh?
it is your turn. Who do
Uh,
you have to talk about?
well, this week, because
Uh-huh.
we're in the midst of a lot of political stuff still happening, some of it
Yeah.
that has me cackling to with
Mm.
delight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mugshot, baby, bitches, we got our
Listen,
mugshot.
we got a
Uh,
mugshot.
we got
Should we
several.
frame that in our homes or is that tasteless? I don't know, but I don't want to see his face.
I
That's the
have a
problem.
friend. I have a friend that
Yeah.
has artwork in her dining room that
Yeah.
I think is so clever. When she first put it up, I was looking at her sideways because I was like, now I know that this is not your political leaning. She has a picture of Sarah Palin
Oh,
and uh, Tiger Woods, right?
okay.
Now,
That's
she's
weird.
not a woman that you would think have either one of them, but the pictures are made out of dicks.
There we go. That's the one. That's the one.
I was like, that is genius. I love
Oh,
that.
God.
So if I could find a picture,
Mm-hmm.
but it had to be
Made of
made of,
dicks.
but with the little hair on them.
Oh, yeah. Tiny
Yeah.
dicks. Tiny, tiny
Yes.
dicks.
Yeah. Tiny, tiny one. So only then, but yes. So because of we're in this political storm and people getting their comeuppance, people fucked around and they finding out. Thank God.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I thought it'd be interesting to do a notorious woman this week along the lines of that would may have been involved in another political uh, um, scandal.
Ooh, I'm
So
so excited. Okay.
this week, my notorious woman is Fawn Hall. Do you know who that
Okay.
is?
No, no
Okay.
clue.
Okay, this is going to be good. I think you're going to know who she is when I get into it. So,
Okay.
excuse me. So, Fawn Hall was born in Annandale, Virginia on September 15th, 1959.
Okay.
Now, when she was young, her divorced mother, Wilma Gray, married a military officer, man by the name of Ronald Hall, who was also a widower,
Okay.
with two kids of his own.
Oh, okay.
So when they got married, they cross adopted each child, so they became a combined family, which
Okay.
is really really sweet.
Yeah.
So Fawn grew up in a pretty stable middle class family. Growing up as a child, she loved to draw, but she was basically an average student in school. So while still in high school, though, she began working part time as a Navy secretary. So when
Oh,
she graduated from Annandale High School in 1977, instead of heading off to college, she began working full time
okay.
as a secretary and at the Pentagon, because this is that
Oh.
area. Annandale is all like in that
Yeah,
military
yeah, yeah.
area. Now, her mother, so her stepfather, was an officer, and he retired. Like at this time, he probably was still an officer. He eventually became a photographer for the military, but so he was a
Okay.
military guy, and her mother worked also as a secretary for the military. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
probably how she got the hookup.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
because I would imagine even to be a secretary in the Navy or the Air Force, that you'd have to have like a bachelor's degree. Like,
I mean, yeah, I would assume like the amount of
yeah,
paperwork in your way would be a lot.
yeah. I mean, but again, this was the 1970s, and these are white people, so there's that.
Yeah, there's
so
that works.
now she did. So for a few years, she settled into this, but she's a young woman, so she's not really sure what she wants to do. But it's a good paying job. It's a government job, and I'm sure a lot of people older than her would probably have liked to have had this job.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, so
Government
she did
jobs
this.
are like you get all the holidays, you get
Yep.
good pay, you get good health insurance. Those are good jobs. Yeah.
Good jobs. So she did this for a couple years, but then, and she modeled on the side, again, she's a young woman. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do.
Yeah, right.
And she was a very attractive young woman, even by today's standard. It's not one of those things like, oh, she was attractive. No, she's a very attractive woman.
She just hot.
Yeah, even she's the kind of woman that even other women are like, oh yeah, she's really pretty. Like, yeah. So she worked as a secretary for a couple years, and then on February 26, 1983, she was transferred from the Navy to work at the National Security Council for Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North as his secretary.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay. Here we go.
So again, she just has a high school diploma, and she's working
modeling
for the National Security Council. Now, her mother, Wilma, was the secretary to Robert McFarlane, Ronald Reagan's national security advisor and Oliver North's superior.
Okay.
So that's probably how Fawn got the job. And then she already had previous experience as a secretary for the Navy. So, but again, like, it is who you know. So
it's 100% who she knew. Okay.
Again, I was just like, how the hell she get this job? This is like a high ranking. Yeah. So, but she she knows someone. So, because her mother at this point is working, if you're working for the national security advisor to the president, then you have a pretty high ranking job.
You probably get paid a fair amount.
Yeah. And also discretion, military family. They want to know that people understand and are not people who will run up on the Capitol. Just saying, people who are not treasonous assholes.
Right. For a random example.
Yeah. Right. People who actually love America.
Love like America, not
not just Nazis. The version of America that they like, but like America, like Yeah, and would be selling secrets.
Slavery time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, So,
random examples. Go on.
Now, so Fawn began working for Oliver North. Now, unbeknownst to Fawn at the time, so she started working for him in 1983. But beginning in 1981, Oliver North had an assignment that would later be called the Iran-Contra affair, where basically, and it came out. So he ran this operation from 81 to 86. So he's about 2.5 years in when she starts working for him.
Right.
And so, for side note, Iran-Contra affair is basically a political scandal in the United States of America in 1987. During the second administration for Ronald Reagan, it actually exploded. That senior administration officials were secretly facilitating the sale of arms to Iran, which was the subject of arms embargo. So they weren't supposed to be trading with Iran.
Nope.
And they used the proceeds from the arms sale to Iran to fund the Contras, a rebel group in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
So under the Bolin Amendment in Congress, further funding for the Contras by the government appropriations needed to be approved by Congress.
Right.
But the loophole was that to use non-appropriated funds. So they were cooking the books to saying that this arms embargo was another part of so they were moving money around. It became a whole scandal to do some underhanded stuff that they should not have been doing. So
it's like all that stuff we think like third world countries are doing, but we're so much better. Like we did that.
Yeah. Exactly. And a Republican right-wing administration did this.
That's shocking to me.
Just saying.
It's
Just
not. That
saying.
was sarcasm.
The
Okay.
Law and Order party did this.
I
So
thought I thought it was like Law and Order. Like you do everything on the up and up, and if you break the law, no matter what the law is, then we can. I can't keep going with this.
yeah.
I'm
Now
exhausted. They must be exhausted. Okay.
I mean only until they get caught. So
Right. Exactly.
so basically it was a backdoor scheme. They were doing shit they shouldn't have been doing, and
Right.
Oliver North was tasked with running basically the key person. He would like physically go down there though. Actually, he was doing some James Bond shit, like some Jack
Damn.
Ryan shit. Like yeah.
Okay. Okay, Oliver.
So now after the sale, so after one sales weapon sales was revealed, all hell broke loose. Like reporters doing their job. That's why
Yeah.
news is important. That's why reporting is important to protect that.
Mm-hmm.
The press
Yep.
is important to protect that. So all hell broke loose. And in November of 1986, Oliver North was fired
Yes.
after the news broke. So Fawn Hall, by this time, she was very devoted to her boss and his ideals and probably knew what was going on at this point. Obviously, when she started, she didn't know at first. So he was fired, escorted from the building. So she so later on in Congress, she actually testified that she shredded documents with him because when the word broke out, they started shredding documents, deleting stuff, altering documents. But she also, and so they were doing this to cover their tracks. And then in June of 1987, she had a 2-day testimony in front of the United States Congress. And she was the 18th witness during the Iran-Contra because it was a whole big thing. She was the 18th witness to testify. And during her testimony, she admitted to altering, shredding a large number of documents. She even admitted to, on the day that he was fired, taking certain documents and putting them in and jamming them into her boot to smuggle them out of the office.
Damn, girl.
To give to him because they knew that investigators were going to come in any moment and go through his offices.
Wow.
So she also talked about some of her other duties around the operation. And again, she has a high school diploma and she confessed to one mishap. So in one mishap, she transposed the digits of a Swiss bank account number, resulting in the contribution from the Sultan of Brunei to the Contras being credited to Swiss businessman's bank account instead.
I mean, oops. Shit.
So now during her testimony, she was known for that hair, that like very 80s kind of hair. She had great hair. Like I said, she was a very attractive woman. But she came across as very confident, straightforward, forthcoming, and a bit like innocent also. At this point, she was in like her mid 20s. But she also said she was kind of unrepentant. She said, quote, that she believed, quote, sometimes you have to go above the law, end quote.
Wow. Okay. She was like, nah, I think we should do this.
Well, she still supported Oliver North. And she said she believed in what they were doing. Now, journalist Bob Woodward of the famous, Nixon Watergate scandal recorded her legal defense justification. He summarized it in basically this, quote, she said, quote, we shred everything, end quote. Now, in 1989, in exchange for her testimony against North for the Iran-Contra affair, she was granted immunity from prosecution. So even though she later on in an interview, she fully helped him, but she also didn't seem, she just basically was like, here are the facts, here are the facts, here are the facts, right? After her testimony, again, she's a very attractive young woman. So her appearance in the hearings tripled TV ratings.
Wow. Okay. That's so funny because I was a kid, but like I still remember this. Probably my parents were watching it, like because everyone was watching it.
Because normally you're just like, it's sort of like Bueller, and then like there's an attractive woman shows up. People are like, oh, who's this?
And then everyone's talking about it. So when everyone goes home and is like, what's going on? And here we are.
So because of that, again, it tripled, TV ratings tripled, and she became like famous overnight, basically. Also, many noted how attractive she was. So there were rumors swirling that maybe her and Oliver North had affairs,
Yeah.
because she did say that
That's what I'm
she
saying.
often worked 10 hours, 12 hours days. But he categorically denies it. He's like, I've been faithful to my wife the entire time. She also denies it. She says that, I think she admired him,
Yeah.
but it wasn't, and I think I believe her. I believe her. It wasn't romantic at all. She seemed like they, they feel like, even though what they did was illegal, these are not the kind of people who would run up on the Capitol. So they actually
Yeah.
seemed like they're patriotic, and they thought
Yeah.
they were doing their patriotic duty.
Yeah, they were wrong,
Yes. Yeah.
but that yeah, like when did Oliver North become the good guy? Damn.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, he totally has become the good guy now, right? Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucked up. All right.
So now, also because of her attractiveness, people started digging into her past. They found her old modeling shots. They also found out that she dated a man by the name of Arturo Cruz Jr., the son of a Nicaraguan politician, Arturo Cruz.
Oh, no shit.
So they
Okay.
dated for a while.
Wow. Okay.
Also, Rob Lowe reached out to her after seeing her and wanted to date. So they dated for a while, and they actually showed
like
up.
Rob Lowe. That feels
Yeah.
like 80s Rob Lowe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh my God. Rob Lowe from the 80s is so fucking sexy. Anyway,
I'm not
he can still get it. He don't want it, but he can still get it.
Yeah, but like I worry because he's like aggressively on Atkins, and I'm like, you do need carbs. But anyways, that's very much besides the point.
But Rob Lowe from the 80s, gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so they even attended Jack Lemmon's AFI Life Achievement Award ceremony in 1988. So they dated a little bit.
Wow. Wait, didn't Rob Lowe do bad things in the 80s too?
Rob Lowe had that. No, he was one of the first people to have the sex tape. Remember?
Was that what it was?
Yeah, that was the thing. He was sort of like that whole Brat Pack thing was just young people with money and like drinking and partying and whatever. But no, his thing was that I believe him. I think I do believe him that he didn't realize a girl was underage, but he was the first celebrity to have the sex tape. But I think the women recorded him. Now, you know what? Don't quote me on that. But he was one of the first
we get a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
it's all
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We don't remember.
Misremembering. I'm not remembering correctly, but that's what you're remembering, that whole sex tape thing. And the girl was 16 or 17, like she was underage.
Oh,
but
she
it was
like close.
And it was like two of them or three of them or something. And people were like, oh my God. And it's like, so he still was in his bad boy days, but still so gorgeous. Look up young Rob Lowe. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah.
So she also scored a coveted sit down with Barbara Walters herself.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is, for the story today, I referenced a lot of it, sourced a lot of my information from that, as well as like other online sources, New York Times, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that Barbara Walters interview was really interesting because they went back to her parents' home, and her parents just normal. She basically is a wet dream for people who are obsessed with the girl next door, the American girl next door.
Yeah.
Because she's actually
the conservative
attractive.
American girl next door.
Yeah, I mean, even for those of us who don't buy into that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's an attractive woman. Like nowadays she would have her teeth fixed right away, which she probably did eventually. It's not that they were. It's just that she just needed braces or something. Like, but she, even with that, like when you see her, you're like,
she dated Rob Lowe. She didn't need anything.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? She perfect.
Exactly.
Except for her right-wing leanings. But other than that, yeah.
So in the interview, Barbara Walters mentioned the whole Oliver North kind of thing, and she again denied it. And she mentioned his wife, who she knew, and she was like, no, he and his wife are lovely people. And Barbara mentioned that some people say that her brother had recently died during this time, and so many people speculated that Oliver reminded her of her brother.
Okay. I mean, not everything has to be sex, right? Like,
yeah. It's just, and she even says in the interviews, because, and Barbara's like, it's because you're beautiful. And so you're working late. So people, and Oliver North, illegal crook that he was not a bad looking man
He was
for
not.
his age. Had salt and pepper hair, and you're like, oh, he looks great in a suit, like in his
Yes.
uniform, and like, so that's why they
If I
thought
liked
so.
men who committed fraud in the
I
name of the
know.
United States in order to support bad people doing bad things, yeah, then I would be turned on. Yeah.
Miriam, it's all relative because again, I don't believe that Oliver North would have run up on the Capitol. Like,
No, but
I
I
could be
know, but like,
wrong. I
but
could be
wasn't he like
wrong.
supporting people who were like trying to destroy? I mean, I don't really
I don't know.
know,
I
but
don't know.
I
I could
feel
be
like
wrong.
some of that support was like that backfired, you know,
I
like in a
mean,
bad way.
the whole Reagan, like,
I
like
mean, and yeah,
years is very, like, in retrospect, we're like, that was fucked up. Like the whole trickle down theory. It's so funny. Recently, they had a report, trickle down theory, which was a Reagan thing. Reaganomics
yes,
doesn't work.
yes,
And most people are like, no shit, Sherlock.
yeah,
Of course it doesn't work.
no fucking way, really? Yes, I know.
Yeah. So, but that was when Republicans pretended to be good people, at least.
They did, and you know what? Bring that facade back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Just say, repeat after me. Nazis are bad. Nazis are bad.
Nazis
No.
are bad.
With conviction, Nazis are bad.
Even the
Nazis are bad.
Republicans
There you go. There you
thought,
go.
even the Republicans
Nazis were
thought
bad.
Nazis were bad.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
At
let's
least
go
we're
back to
not
that time.
Nazis. Now they're like, we're fucking Nazis. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Exactly. So she, again, because she was a young, attractive woman, after her testimony, she went briefly back to work as a secretary, but that didn't last long. So she
imagine.
decided to pursue a career in Hollywood. She was signed by the William Morris Agency.
Oh.
She posed, I believe it was Playboy. I don't think it was Penthouse. And she doesn't, I don't think she really had any like acting, because she is beautiful. Like she's like,
yeah,
she's like like Michelle Pfeiffer. Like she really is a beautiful woman. If
okay,
she really wanted to become an actress, they need training.
Yeah, that's the word I'm thinking about.
But you know, when you don't have acting or, you know, entertainment career aspirations beyond modeling, you know what you can do?
What?
You can find a rich husband.
Yeah, you can. And that's what she did.
Well, she was well on her way to doing that. Again, she, you know, dated around and like, you know, again, she was also and she is likable. I will say that watching her, you can't help but like her, actually. She's very likable. She comes across as very likable and charismatic. Okay. And so this, you know, and also, what is she going to do now? She can't go back to working at the Pentagon. Like, especially if it doesn't seem like that was ever her like dream. Like, it was just like, her mother's like, this is a good job. It's a good government job. Like, let's just take it. So now she has other avenues open to her. So she came out to Hollywood and she struggled because, again, I think she probably didn't really was like, oh, I'm going to go out there and be an actor. I'm going to go out there and be a singer. I'm going to go out there and be like.
Who've never acted, because acting doesn't look like it's hard or there's any technique involved at all. It looks like people are just talking. So when you actually start to have to act, it's like, oh shit, I don't know how to do this.
And it takes years to become like even kind of good. So
yeah, it's true.
And you know, despite all of this, again, doing something that's illegal at the highest level, political level, which is a very notorious thing to do. Overall, the public seemed to support her. And I think because she was like pretty white lady, like,
I mean,
but
pretty
even
white
black
lady
people were like
in the Reagan years, like
pretty white lady because I don't remember black people being like, I think we were just like, yeah, that tracks. We were like, yeah, of course all of them are crooks. Of course they are. But she didn't get any backlash is my point, like, which is really interesting. And also because she's a young, attractive blonde woman. Like I said, she had a lot of options. In April of 1993, she married a man by the name of Danny Sugarman, a former manager of the Doors.
A sugar daddy. Do you see what I did there?
The sugar daddy.
A sugar daddy. Okay.
Now I think they were pretty well matched in age, close in age, not like too close, but like it wasn't like he's like in his 60s, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But Danny unfortunately had a heroin problem previously. So they got married. They had a storybook wedding, wedding, and then they went off to Thailand. While in
Okay.
Thailand, they started smoking opium.
That's not a good idea.
Opium, and I don't know if he told her that he struggled with heroin addiction or um but it's like, dude, you should not be around opium. Like,
No,
you should
absolutely not.
not, you know y- you should go to Hawaii and
Yeah, I was
have
gonna
like,
say there are other vacations.
yeah, you should go to Hawaii and have like coconut and like,
Hmm. A little
yeah,
poi, you know,
yeah,
delicious. Some pineapple. Mmm,
yeah.
so fresh.
So
Yeah.
fresh. They were smoking it, and this was sad because then in another interview in, I believe it was 2005, with with, believe it or not, O'Reilly from formerly of Fox News. What's his name? Bill.
Oh, Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Ew.
And when he
Ugh.
was younger, he was not an attractive man, even when he was younger.
No, I know his voice.
Um, yeah. So it was really sad. So they were actually recounting how, so she tried it when she was there. She said it didn't really do anything to her. Like,
Oh, no
actually,
kidding.
marijuana did more to her in high school. And she was just like, but she had no idea that it kicked off his addiction.
Oh, shit.
Like, it just, like, he went into
Well, yeah.
overdrive. So then he immediately started like scouring the streets while they were still on their honeymoon.
Jesus, that did not last long.
No. So then when they came back to and I'm sure it's like pure over there, like you're getting like,
Yeah.
So when they came back to LA, he was going out like acting really weird, like, and she was like, what is going on? She's like, a new wife and da, 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 and like, and then he admitted that he had this drug problem, and he was actually when he couldn't get heroin, he was scoring crack.
Oof,
So
okay.
then
Oof.
she's just like, well, I want to try it. Let me try it.
What? Why would you? No, let me get you help. Okay. You know what?
No, when your husband tells you or your significant other tells you that they have a heroin or a crack problem, so it's just very odd. And
Well, she
this
seems
is
to
like,
go along with a lot of bad ideas. Let's start there. I
yes.
feel like she's just like yes and to anything. You know?
I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but oh my God, Miriam, that is so true. I also, she feels to me like a specific kind of white woman that white supremacists are trying to recreate over and over again. The kind of white
Yeah.
woman that's like, yeah, whatever you want to do, honey. A strong man
Uh-huh.
tells me to do this, so
Yep.
let's try it.
Yep. Don't
Right?
stand up for yourself. Don't. Yep.
While
Totally.
looking like her
Well,
also.
yes, exactly. Like,
But you're right. She totally goes along with bad
yeah,
ideas. So he
crack
gives it
cocaine.
to
Let's
her.
go. Let's go. I mean, what the fuck?
Immediately she's
Okay.
hooked.
Yes, because that's
Like,
what it does.
immediately she's hooked. She starts going out on her own to score on the streets.
Jesus. Okay.
This goes on for like, so they got married in 93. This goes on for a long time, so much so that her parents had to come and like force their way into their home, and she hid in the bathroom, and they were like, we're here. They're so supportive. They're like, we're going to put you in rehab. It didn't take both of them. Like, it only took actually, so this, they were like in deep, uh, like
Doo
addiction.
doo.
Yeah. Deep addiction. And it only, so they went to rehab once or twice, but it only took when she had a non-lethal overdose in 1994.
Oh,
And
okay.
then that time when she went to rehab took Danny Sugarman. Now, so in this like, I think it was a current affair, or I forget which program it was, that they were being interviewed. It was actually kind of sad and sweet because he was just like, the people were like, do you feel guilty? He was like, of course I do. Like,
Nice. Yeah,
I
that's good.
I love her. Like, I brought her, I'm killing myself, and now I brought her into, also now we're killing ourselves. Like, together? Like, no, like, of course I feel guilty. Like, but eventually they were able to get clean, and rebuild their
That's amazing.
lives. And even in that interview, though, you could see she's still attractive, but you could see, I mean, drug addiction. It's
Yeah.
just really, if it had been meth, they both probably would have died within like
Yeah.
a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they got clean and they were doing this interview and they were still together and they were, making their way back to each other because obviously he had some money, or at least they had a home. And but they stayed married until he died of lung cancer in 2005.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now in 2007, she listed their home for about $2.5 million. And
Now that home
hopefully
is worth
just, I
$11 million,
know,
but
probably 20.
mm,
Now, hopefully she used that to like, maybe buy a smaller place and just live her life. As of
right.
2012, she was living a quiet life in West Hollywood, working at a bookstore and basically
No
staying out of
kidding.
the public eye. I was able to find like a 2017 or 15, no, actually, it was more recent photo of her like at one of those newsstands that are very ubiquitous here in LA, where they're
Yes.
kind of like on the street, like those. They're nice newsstands, but they're like on the corner
Yeah,
usually.
I know. Yeah.
She was with some guy. He posted it on his Instagram, but she still looks good. Hopefully, she's doing well. I
Okay.
mean, this is a
Yeah.
crazy, crazy life, but that is Fawn Hall political, like notoriously political scandal to like battling drug addiction to crack.
Damn. Like, she's fascinating. Her life is fascinating.
But I also think it's interesting what you said. Like, I think there are a lot of women that we don't like to talk about who are like, yeah, that's a terrible idea, but yeah, let's yes and that. Like, let's
Yeah.
see
And
where this takes us.
I really feel like it's important. Like, in our society, you see a lot of like girls in STEM, and we're trying to undo some damage, but like that's part of it, is that basic, it is pervasive in society that women should be the sidekick. I mean,
Yeah.
and that is why you and I do what we do, because we're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And let's talk, and this is a good sort of example, I think, of a woman who, I mean, I had to battle that, and I was taught, to trust myself and love myself and work hard to, my parents did as much as they could, but society is gonna society, man, like,
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like she grew up because in the Barbara Walters interview, her family's pretty close. Like they just
yeah,
normal, like what you think of, like what you want. Like they're a blended family, but they're close. They joke easily. They get along and they loved her. Obviously, her parents were horrified and
yeah,
heartbroken and they did their best to come and rescue her. And she even said in the later interview that, they were there for me and they were like, we're not going to abandon you. We love you. And she's
yeah,
like, you can't really, when you're deep in addiction, you can't really accept it. But she's like, it really meant a lot to me. And I hope that she has learned a lot from those experiences because it's also just a varied, like, crazy, like something you would write a book about. Like you would never think that she would
yeah.
have this
Like, her
kind of life.
story is really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I don't know. Like, I guess, like, I like that now she's making her own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
it
I hope
seems
she's
to me,
happy.
I hope she's happy too, like making her own choices,
And
trusting in herself.
I also hope that she didn't run up on the Capitol January 6th. I'm just,
Girl, I really hope that you are correct,
because I
because
got you, girl. I got you,
mhm,
Fawn girl. Unless we find out
yeah, yeah.
that you or your boyfriend, your new man,
Mhm.
done
Mm-mm.
ran up there on the Capitol.
Mm.
I can't get behind
Yeah.
that. But
I think that's the line we draw. The line is getting lower and lower, Lavetta. Like, it's really low.
girl, but I had to say it. Black people like, yeah, that tracks. We ain't surprised about none of that. Only white people are like, oh my god, they were taking the Capitol. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because they're not getting their way.
I'll
And
be
I'm glad
honest
these
with
motherfuckers
you.
are starting to go to jail. I'm so glad. I'm
Yeah,
so
that is
glad.
really, really satisfying. I'll be honest with you. I was teaching
Mm-hmm.
and my client was like, look at this. And she turns on her TV and I saw it. And I swear to God, I was like, oh, huh. I mean, that's bad, but let's get started. Like because so much shit has happened for
Yeah.
the past like 4 or 5 years that I was like, that feels right. And then it's horrifying. And then I was like watching CNN for like 27 hours straight. But like,
Well, it's also horrifying for us as Black people because we're like, because the hesitation is what allowed them to get as far as they did.
yeah.
Because they're hesitating because they're like, oh, these are white people. And it's like, no,
Girl,
these
because
motherfuckers are coming in there to like kill Congress people.
Yeah. And it was like, do I have my passport? Is it up to date?
Yeah, we need you guys. And now they, obviously after it first happened, everybody was horrified. And then they all were like, just like, not all mealy mouth. But I'm so glad to know that Merrick Garland,
Yes.
a patriotic Jewish man.
Yes, man.
Merrick Garland's like, not on my motherfucking watch.
Mhm.
I might be what do you guys might think I'm a meek Jewish man, but
Nope.
I got
He's
a
like-
big stick and I'm gonna whoop some ass. Okay.
He's like, you should have let me be a Supreme Court justice, but you didn't. Let's go.
Let's go. Merrick Garland's like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna do it on the. I'm gonna do it on the QT because you don't see me coming. You don't think I got that bite in me, but motherfuckers, because these motherfuckers are starting to go to jail, getting
Have
like real
fun in
time.
there. Yep.
17 years, let's go. 23 years, let's go.
Listen, these are real jails too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is why I shouldn't be in charge. I shouldn't be in charge because I bring back the guillotine. Fuck
no,
that.
I know that.
Let's chop off some motherfucking heads, okay?
Okay.
You treasonous motherfuckers, you gonna die. Shoot.
Lavetta justice.
I have some public hangings.
Jesus.
I put traitor on your forehead. Shoot.
Oh, God, yeah.
No, and matter of fact, this is why I belong in Game of Thrones. Matter of fact, bring back the guillotine. I have traitor written on your forehead, and I will stack up all of the heads as a warning.
And
try that again, motherfuckers. Yeah. This is why I don't go into politics. So
no, that might be like a little bit much for society, but like I hear you. I just feel like that again, they're going to real jails. Yeah. And they're like, these are the people that were like, stop trying to make jails better and wasting my tax money. Have fun in those jails. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only sad part about it is that jail is very like segregated racially, so they're just going to go in there and just join neo-Nazis. But I hope the neo-Nazis give them a welcome to jail.
Yeah, but they
visit before.
Listen, those neo-Nazis need to hold on to their jail power, and the only way to hold on to their jail power is to do what they do. I'm saying,
do what they do.
Saying, like jail should be a totally different situation, but it's not. Right? We privatized the shit out of it, and now it's a problem. And those are the people that really like that. So I hope, once again, please to enjoy.
Yeah. And also because a lot of these like, let's go up in the Capitol are a bunch of fucking wusses. Oh, they're going to crumble. Because I don't want to go to jail. Jail sounds terrifying.
No, jail sounds like a bad idea. No,
but that's why I'm not running up on the Capitol. So
that was why no one even invited me.
And attacking, I know, right? And attacking policemen, congressional policemen, attacking people that they say that they, and then some of the white officers were saying that they were trying to talk to them like, come on, brother, come on over to our side. And then if they were just like, no, then they attacked them.
Yeah.
Like,
all these like Blue Lives Matter motherfuckers, like, oh, okay, do they? Because you just attacked one. So
yeah, again, you don't want me in power. Off of them motherfucking heads, traitor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. What's that old medieval thing where they would put the heads on spikes? Yep. Yeah. Let's bring that back.
Okay, Lavetta would do well in those times. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I would. Like you gotta yeah. So anyway, on that note, guys, listen again. next week.
Hold on. Lavetta Justice. Next week. Another
That's
man, another douche bucket loses his head.
Off with his motherfucking head. That's why when I watch like Game of Thrones, like kill them all. Like why we playing? What's the woman that they hated in Game of Thrones? Cersei.
I don't know.
The one that was with her brother. I know the one that was like having sex with her brother.
Oh God, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I understand her. Just kill them all. That's it's kill to be killed. That's what we doing here. Like
okay.
Yeah.
All right. On that
Who cares if I love my brother? Okay. Don't do that, people. That's gross.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
No, thank you.
And it won't be good for the kids. So on that note, guys.
Or society in general. Okay.
If you want more of this, let us know. And we can put this on the Patreon page, which you can support us on patreon.com/Notorious Women if you want to give us a little moolah. Help us out with some cash. Yes. Also, you can also do something that's absolutely free. You can continue to download and listen to us. You can also refer us to your friends, and you can also write a 5-star review in the Apple Store. So please remember to do that. You can also follow us on all the things, and Miriam is going to give you even more specifics about how you can help us and where you can find us.
I also want to mention if I don't know if Stitcher is still around.
No, I think it's going away by the time this comes out.
Yeah. Okay. By the time this comes out. Okay. Because if you, then you're not listening to it right now. Never mind. We're everywhere else though, so it's fine.
Spotify,
Apple,
iHeart,
Red Circle, iHeart.
Yep. Check us out. Give us a 5-star review.
You can email us at notoriouswmpod@gmail.com. And you can find us on Instagram. It's so easy. It's Notorious Women Podcast. It's very obvious. Just type in Notorious Women Podcast. There we are. And you can DM us there if you want to do that as well. And that is what that is. Yes.
Well, guys, thank you again for joining us. And we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.